So we get a new ending, opening. I don't know what to really classify the song in World Trigger, because, I mean, sometimes World Trigger's opening appears 4 minutes in, sometimes it appears 2 minutes in, sometimes it decides to appear about 15 minutes in. I don't know what to classify World Trigger's opening or ending song in the series, but we get a new song at the end, so I like it. I like the new ending song. It seemed like an ending song the way it was done. Like, you see how, like, the way the credits were doing and rolling, it felt like an ending song. And honestly, the way the song was done, it felt like an arc was coming to a close. That's kind of how it felt. So I don't know what Toei Animation was trying to do with that, but it felt like that scene right there, like that little ending song, should have been saved for the finale of whatever arc we're on right now. And I felt like it was just kind of weird seeing how the credits were done in this episode. But regardless of that, I do like the song. The song sounds really fucking badass. But I mean, nothing's gonna beat, you know, the opening song, "Changing the New World," you know, the opening song. That fucking opening song is amazing. I love that opening song of World Trigger. Probably one of the best, catchiest opening songs I have heard in recent years. So yeah, this episode of World Trigger, about 80 to 90% of this episode is introducing the power of this side effect that's a hearing side effect of one of our characters of the Kazuma Squad. He has this superhuman hearing, or not superhuman, because it was classified as not being superhuman hearing, but it is really good hearing, and he can actually hear different things going on, especially vibrations in the ground and stuff like that, and he's able to perceive different noises. Like, for instance, he could tell the difference between if you were tapping wood, like if I was tapping wood like this, and I was to, you know, just, I guess, whisper off into a corner, he could tell the difference the way the sound waves are. But when we come to find out that this side effect, when it was first introduced when it came to this episode, it seemed like it was a useless ability. That's what he thought. He thought his side effect ability was straight up fucking useless. That's what he grew up with. That's what he thought. He didn't even know he had a side effect until a doctor diagnosed him with a side effect. So right there, it just goes to show you how he did not even realize it. You can see in this episode, he had this pressure, peer pressure from people saying like his side effect is shit, it sucks, it's useless, stuff like that, and he grew up dealing with this, and eventually Kazuma came, introduced himself as like, I want you in my squad, because you have great hearing, you can definitely help us out, and they eventually overcame the invisible type triggers that people constantly use, because he had superhuman hearing, or, you know, not superhuman, you know what I'm getting at. Pretty much he has good hearing to where he knew where the person was when they're invisible, and so he was able to help out Kazuma Squad and up their rankings to A-class squad. So yeah, we get some characterization for the Kazuma Squad this episode and get to see how they fight together and, you know, what they do when they're in combat. We also get to see some interesting things with this black trigger user. This black trigger user, when he fights, like, if you were to attack him, like, when you saw Kazuma attack him, he sliced his head and his head came off, and when he liquefied his head and put it back on, Kazuma thought in his mind that he can liquefy his body, but you had it to where the black trigger user stated, like, oh, I bet you thought it liquefied my body right now. So right there, very weird type power he used. Like, it's very strange what he did. And so, yeah, he got the upper hand, and his black trigger is kind of fucking deadly. It really is. Episode, I enjoyed it. I mean, it felt very fast to me. Maybe it's because the recap took about 4 minutes and 15 seconds. That's kind of how long the recap of this episode was. I noticed the pacing of World Trigger starting to slow down. I've noticed that, because if anyone else has noticed, the recap is starting to get longer, and I know the series has already been, you know, announced for 50 episodes. I don't know if we're gonna have any more than that. Clearly, Toei Animation is starting to slow down the pacing because of how the recap is being done, especially with the, you know, ending opening song. So yeah, tell me your thoughts when it came to this episode of World Trigger. Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? How do you feel about, you know, the introduction to this side effect, this hearing side effect? How do you feel about the black trigger user in his, you know, liquefied state? Let me know your thoughts. And how do you feel about Osamu most likely going to die if he's not saved? I mean, how do you feel about that little information that Jin revealed to us in this episode? So please be safe. Chibi out.